Ever wondered what scary stories dashcams have to tell? Stick around to find out. But be warned, these disturbing stories can be creepy, especially the last video. Number 8. A disturbing clown phase that shook Americans in 2016 lasted for a few months. Basically, it included several individuals in clown outfits. For many, the goal was merely to frighten people. However, others actually committed theft and even kidnapped victims. In 2016, a family would drive home one late night in South Yorkshire when their vehicle dashcam would capture a clown stepping out right in front of the vehicle. The clown would then continue to stand there and wave until a short while later. The clown would then dash in the direction of the vehicle. The driver of the car would at first urgently try to go in reverse, then decides to drive forward again, forcing the clown to get out of the way. How would you react if you saw this on the road? Number 7. Two men are traveling down the highway. Through the rear dashcam, a car is clearly seen fastly approaching. The car then swerves around the Mercedes before getting in front and slamming on the brakes, obviously trying to run them off the road. However, what at first may look like road rage quickly becomes more serious and disturbing.
What are you doing? Oh, keep distance, bro.
I wonder how this ends. The two men see the driver has an axe and is now yelling at them and waving it out his window. This unexpected and sudden encounter urges the two men to quickly take a U-turn to lose the man, but he keeps coming after them. The situation even gets further out of hand when they both take the next exit and approach the roundabout.
No. Oh, keep going. Just keep. Oh my God.
Mercedes is rear-ended twice, the second time causing the attacker to spin off the road, finally giving the guys an opportunity to get away. They would then go to the closest police station to report what had happened. When the police arrived at the scene, the vehicle was gone. However, a few hours later, they located the car on the highway, and the driver was finally detained. Subsequently, the dashcam's owner would add context to the footage. The driver that was pursuing them for whatever reason was convinced they had broken into his home the previous night. However, this was evidently not the case, since the two men had never seen the man before. It was discovered that he was under the influence of something. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison for a number of violations. Number 6. The armed robbery of a taxi driver is captured on dashcam video. The driver, Ralph Roletta, had just begun his shift, and this was his first ride of the day. When he came to a halt at a light, the rider could be seen slouching in the back. Suddenly, he sat up and demanded that Ralph give him everything he had.
This is a robbery, man. Right, hey. Give me all your money, man.
Man, I don't.
Give me everything you got. Give me it now.
All right.
I need it now.
All right.
We can make this the easy way, or we can make this the hard way, man.
Everything I got, man.
Keep your hand where I can see him.
I just started.
What else you got?
I just
Let me see your wallet. Let me see your.
I don't have anything in my wallet.
We can do this the hard way, or we can do this the easy way, man. Let me see your wallet and let me see your phone. I need it all right now. If you don't want to die, man.
Okay.
Give it all to me now.
Okay.
During the robbery, a police car was parked at the same light right behind them. When the light to the lane they were in went green, the officer noticed that they weren't moving and turned on his lights and got out to investigate.
I don't have anything in my wallet. I don't
carry
carry
your wallet and your phone. I need your wallet.
No, please don't give me my phone. I need that for my. There's a cop behind us. There's a cop behind us. Get out.
The rider was then ordered out of the car and detained after the police quickly realized the cabman was being robbed. The rider would then be arrested and charged with numerous charges. Number 5. On June 2nd, 2022, this dashcam footage was recorded. It took place in Australia. This vehicle's driver has cameras with both a front and a back view. Around 5 p.m., the driver arrived at a left turn at a red signal. The rear-facing camera clearly picks up a Mercedes approaching just behind it, and almost instantly the driver's side door opens. A man exits and begins moving swiftly approaching the car, holding something made of metal. Fortunately, the motorist was observing the rearview mirror as the door opened, giving him ample time to respond. He had no choice except to veer off the road and cut through a patch of grass and 3 vehicles ahead of him, leaving the Mercedes driver standing in the road. The driver that uploaded this footage says he has no idea what the Mercedes driver wanted. He said it was possible he may have accidentally cut off the Mercedes earlier on the road, but there was no proof of this in the video. There is no surefire way to determine whether he was attempting to rob the driver or maybe even worse. Number 4. Justin Bilton and his 70-year-old father were camping in the Glacier National Park in Montana in August 2018 when they learned that the area was being evacuated immediately due to a forest fire that had been started by the lightning the night before. Unknown to them, the only road out of the park had already been consumed by the fire by the time they had received the evacuation notice. I truly hope they make it out fine.
Do I go? We're going to find out up here in a minute, aren't we? I think we can drive through this. What? Dad, what if the car blows up? We're dead. Dad, this is insane. I know. We don't want to get trapped in here. Easy, easy. All right, we're good, we're good, we're good. Slow down, slow down. Big rut here. Just slow down. We're out of that fire. We're not out of that, Dad. We're not out. We're good, though. What? Easy, easy. Can't see. Just go easy now. Easy. Dad, the car is heating up. It's gonna explode. We're all right. Dad, what if a tree falls on us? Okay, slow. Please, God, help us. You're doing good. You're doing good. Oh my God. Dad, we can't get out. I'm getting out. You can't drive back. We get that out of the road. We get gloves. Oh my God. Stop. Stop. Dad, we gotta get out of here. Back it up.
They are trapped inside the park by a fallen tree that is directly in the middle of the road. Since they can only travel back, they ultimately have to go back through everything they had just passed, though they arrived at their campsite and abandoned their vehicle, and frantically started to sprint towards a lake nearby. By some miracle, they would discover a boat at the shore with 2 park staff members on it. After being saved, Justin and his father were escorted to safety while leaving everything but this disturbing footage behind. Number 3. This dashcam video was recorded on Taiwan streets. It is immediately apparent that the footage is set during a storm, with gusts powerful enough to toss around debris. Little did the drivers realize that an actual tornado was building directly behind them and swiftly moving in the direction, as debris was even spotted blowing at the windshield at one point. The dashcam footage shows exactly when the tornado struck them. It was powerful enough to lift cars off the ground, as can be seen with the white van that emerges into the road. The car appears to vanish when its wheels leave the ground, and it is fully pulled by the storm. Yet it can later be seen considerably further down the road, jammed in between 2 trees. However, the lady who was thrown by the storm into the right side of the road is more worrisome, since she is likely to sustain serious injuries and need medical attention. The storm would continue to do harm, dropping 50 inches of rain and triggering numerous catastrophic landslides. Number 2. This dashcam video was recorded from a pickup truck in Chile. The driver had just entered a highway on the ramp and was moving forward when the car in front of him began to slow down. Eventually, they came to a complete stop, at which point 2 men emerged, one carrying what appears to be a gun. You won't believe what happens next. At first, the driver tried to reverse out of the way, but there was a car behind him, so he had no other choice but to drive forward. Having moved the car out of the way, the driver could now enter the highway. The attacker's vehicle's brake lights are seen activating throughout the push. Although this has absolutely no impact on the pickup, police were handed the video in order to help them identify the men. It was also shared online. The actual owner of the car they were using recognized it as being theirs. It turns out that the vehicle had been stolen a few days prior to the recording of this video, which is what made police think that the men were attempting to steal the pickup. Before we get to number 1, if you're enjoying these videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it if you want to see more videos like this. Number 1. This next footage is from Malaysia in 2017. The dashcam footage shows 2 men driving through a windy residential neighborhood late at night. Everything appears to be going perfectly normal, until as they start to make a turn, they see what appears to be a person dressed up in white, sitting cross-legged in the middle of the road.
Okay, that's a bit scary.
Yeah,
That's a bit scary.
that is very scary.
That's
Alright, my traction control just came on.
yeah, that's no good.
The guys would instantly stop and reverse their car to take an alternative path, clearly afraid. It's unknown why whoever or whatever this was sitting in the middle of the road, because the video doesn't go on to explain what happened after that, but it sure was creepy. Wanna guess what's worse than seeing a creepy figure in all white in the middle of the road? Watch our next video.